Kirby, on this would you rather series that we're starting to do now. In the stock market, the two big guys I guess there's a few big guys in the tech space, but let's say with the AI, transformation and cell phones, computers, things of that sort, would you rather invest in Microsoft or Apple?
That's a good one. That is a good one. Let's be honest, both of these companies have moats. Moats meaning they have stuff structured around it that make customers want to come back for more and more and more. Um, with Microsoft, everybody know what Microsoft Word is, spreadsheets, PowerPoints, and the linear products that the Microsoft Office suites provide, Teams and things like that. Microsoft, I believe, I don't own the stock individually, but I believe Microsoft has a 92% penetration rate in the enterprise sector, meaning most businesses use Microsoft Office products. So that's recurring revenue on a year-to-year basis for a long time. And then as more businesses come online, they bring on Microsoft products. And then so that's a huge element of it. But on the inverse side, Apple's the same way. Apple has a moat. They come up with new iterations of iPhones, uh, earpods, iPods. They have but they have a loyal fan base. That's what I mean. A moat. They create stuff that people are so used to that they refuse to switch to another product because they don't want to deal with the inconvenience of dealing with another product. Uh, I was a I was a Droid guy for a long time, and then somebody was like, "Man, just try Apple one time." And then I just saw the convenience of being an Apple. Uh, I think my first thing was an iPad. I saw the convenience of the iPad and how you can schedule and put everything together. And then next thing you know, I went from an iPad to iPhone to iWatch to EarPods. Next thing you know, they got me in the loop. Now I couldn't even imagine myself being without a Apple device to schedule things and network. I believe one time I was at the airport and then I was exchanging information with somebody and they gave me their phone and it was a Android phone. I just looked at it. I was like, hey, you got to help me out here. I don't even know how to use this thing no more. So that's really the thing. But both companies, they operate at a great level. Tim Cook, he's not a developer, but he knows how to sell his butt off. Satya Nadella, he is a products guy. He knows how to operate. He know how to operate, and he know how the technical aspects of what they're trying to do. I mean, just like they took out Skype, they bought Skype, and then they made the Teams product. Everybody I talk to now is, hey, you wanna have a conference call on Teams? You wanna have a conference call on Teams? I mean, during COVID, everybody thought that Zoom was just going to run off and take off with it, and all the business was going to run to Zoom. But Microsoft quickly adjusted and filled that gap, and now it's part of the Microsoft suites with it. So, and then Microsoft has just built the one-stop shop for enterprise and for people, even for students with homework and stuff like that. You could just buy their product, of course, annually renewed every year. And so they get that recurring revenue. They get that stuff that we always talk about. Uh, but before I give you my which one would I rather buy individually, Alice, what you think about the two different companies?
I like that you highlighted those points on the two. I mean, when you really think about it, it sticks out like Microsoft when you're at work. I mean, you're using Outlook, you're using Microsoft Teams, all the devices. If you work in an office setting, I would say all, if not most, of the devices are Microsoft devices. The monitors, the computers, all the equipment. So in that space, I mean, they like you say, they dominate, and that's a big space that's very important to take over, and especially since even though there was a hype of working from home, we still see a lot of offices open, and especially companies calling people back to the office. In the Apple space, you see it more so with people like kind of like a home product, like it's known for being on a personal level. So I see more individuals rather than companies have Apple products. I see more individuals talk very well about Apple products. And I'm not trying to, you know, pick on the boomers, but the older people are the ones that always have like a Android or a Samsung phone. It's not so much of like the younger generation. The younger generation, you always hear them talking about having the new iPhone or upgrading their AirPods to the AirPod Pros or getting the new Apple Watches, so or the new MacBooks. So I constantly hear on like a individual level, like just regular going out, meeting people, them talking about Apple products more so than the Microsoft products. But in a work setting, you do see more Microsoft products. So it's interesting how, we're looking at two companies that have very close valuations in both, but they kind of dominate two different sectors, but yet it's the same kind of, not two different sectors, but two different realms of the same sector.
Yeah, and what you're talking about, they talk, Microsoft dominate the enterprise, Apple dominate the consumer. And the funny thing is, both of them tried to tread on each other's landscape before. This is probably before you. I always say before you was born, like you were like 12 years old. But it was a time when Apple tried to create PCs to penetrate Microsoft's standing. They put them in the schools at first, and it was just a monitor. It was just a monitor, and the whole PC was inside the monitor. I don't even know if you remember that.
Yeah, they
Are
still
you
have
even old
them.
enough to know about that?
They still have
Yeah,
them.
but
The Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
no, but not,
The
you probably
iMacs.
used to a flat. Yeah, yeah. I don't know what they call it now, but it's it was like a big two back, like a big two back TV. That's what we had back in the younger days when Apple tried to penetrate the school. See, that's before your time, I know.
Okay, okay, wait.
Uh,
No, no. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah. I've seen
Now you
photos.
got to put a picture of that thing up
Yeah,
there. You
yeah,
got to put
yeah.
a
I know what
picture
you're
of that
talking
thing
about.
up there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but so Apple tried to penetrate into Microsoft's market, and they didn't really make a penetration. I think they probably got like 1%, and then they just scrapped that whole deal. But and then on the inverse side, Microsoft tried to move into Apple space with the Microsoft phone and all that, but it didn't work. It didn't work. They had the operating system for the cell phone. It didn't work. They're very good at the enterprises that they're in. I mean, or the sectors that they're in. Uh, if if it was just me picking one stock, and again, I've always told people that I am me and Apple has a bad relationship. Every time I try to trade Apple, I get screwed, and then if I just sit there and invest in Apple, then I'm fine. So, but with that, if I had to pick one of which one, I would go with Microsoft. If at the current valuations, I would go with Microsoft, and this is the reason why. The reason why I would go with Microsoft is because I don't believe people are loyal. And what I mean by that is it'll take me, I'm an old buck. It's gonna take me 500 years to get off of Apple. Now I couldn't even switch to a new operating system. But like you said, the younger generations, they buy an Apple, they buy an Apple. But soon as another fad comes, and I don't think Apple will be easily, crushed, but people are fickle with, another fad come because again, I'll keep saying before your time, there's smartphones. It was Palm. Palm was the number one smartphone people, and then it went from Palm to the Androids, and Google came out with the phone that ran Android, and people was on that. Then Apple. I look at which one would be more more likely where somebody can penetrate it and start taking market share. And I think it's more on the Apple side that people can start taking market share. I mean, you look at in China, I can't think of the name. It starts with an X, but that China company start taking market share from Apple. And then so it only take one big fad, one crazy TikTok meme, or one sick phone that people just think they can't live without. People try it, and then it comes out and perform better than Apple. But to take over the enterprise of companies that's been running for 40, 50 years on a Microsoft is will be very hard for them to unask that and then try to switch to a whole new operating system and run a business on when they already know what they have for Microsoft. So my choice would be Microsoft.
Oh, that's an interesting choice. That wasn't the answer I was expecting, and I know of your, I know Apple's your nemesis, but I was expecting you to say Apple, but that's a really good analysis of it, and I could see what you're saying with that. Um, and that is very interesting. With what you're saying, it if I were to give my answer too, with what you're saying, if that were to happen with like say this Chinese company starting to take my market share from Apple, if
China,
yeah, if
only in
Apple,
China though.
yeah, only in China, but yeah, if Apple can't find a way to defend against it, and like you said, I don't think it would be easy for them to get squashed, but I mean, you have a point. I mean, that where you mentioned that they are more on the consumer side, that is kind of a dangerous spot to be in because that's because consumers, like you said, aren't loyal. Like companies are going to go for the most cost-effective equipment. They're going to go for what works, what's constantly, what's very easy to to move operations at their businesses. And I don't think Apple, like you said, like you've explained, has breached that. So if Apple loses its consumers because they find something more attractive, then yeah, I mean, I can see Microsoft being the dominant one in this case.
So, but before I answer mine, what was your pick going to be, Microsoft or Apple?
Honestly, my pick was going to be Apple, and it was going to be Apple just because of the simplicity of its products. I'm not saying Microsoft is hard to use. I think Microsoft used to be a little bit more difficult to use, more like complex, but I think they've kind of dumbed it down because I think Apple products are very dumbed down for consumers. Like, I mean, even when you open the home screen, it's just like big bubbles. Like you just pick what you need. Like, so I think it's very straightforward to, how to use. And Microsoft, I think, works more like an actual computer rather than an Apple phone working you know, like an actual computer. I don't know. I've seen people pull up all kinds of like processors and stuff on their like Androids and Samsung phones and stuff. So, I mean, in that case, I was going with Apple because of the simplicity of it and the um, the size of it, and also because that they're breaching the AI or they're starting to use AI. But we're starting to see also all the big guys in the tech sectors are using AI now.
Yeah, Microsoft is invested heavily in the AI space also.
Yeah.
So, with all that being said, thanks for watching. Please comment, subscribe, and mention which one you pick, and give you a reason for why you pick them. I mean, we just doing would you rather's here, but I would love the insight for the audience to see which one they would pick and the reasons why. I mean, maybe you give me an idea of something that I missed, make me reconsider my decision. But right now, my decision would be Microsoft if I had to just pick one right now.
See you guys.